Hey guys, seems like it's time for another tank review. That means it's time for beer, chip and popcorns. Or something like that. Yeah, well, today I'm talking about the Comet 1 and also the Iron Duke 4, which are basically the same tanks. The Iron Duke 4 was a reward tank for a recent, reward series of tanks. But it is the very same tank, just with the bonus of being a premium vehicle and having a premium reward. Both tanks are sitting on battle rating 5.3, both in arcade and realistic battle, and they are ranked 3. So there is a bit to it in this tank review, so I'm not sure how fast I'm going through. And I have some nice gameplay as well. So, first of all, let's have a look at the armor. We have the upper hull, which is 76 millimeters thick. At battle rating 5.3, that's not going to stop too much, which is gonna be fired at you. It's also flat, and there are a few parts like this door, I guess, which have some weird angles, but I wouldn't rely it. Also, the machine gun port does have parts which are thicker than 70.6 millimeters. However, there are those those things, and they have sometimes strange angles, as you can see here, also on the side, over 200 millimeters. So yeah, it can bounce, but you should not rely on it. Then we also have the upper glacis, if that's the right word for it, just 32 millimeters thick, but at a degree of 71 degrees, it's roughly 100 millimeters thick of effective thickness. Then the lower plate, so to say, same story, 63 millimeters, slight angle going on at roughly 20 degrees, resulting in just under 70 millimeters of effective thickness, rather flat. And then the lower glacis, so to say, very thin, 25 millimeters, but 69 degrees of angling, effective thickness around 90 millimeters. So that's also mostly autobounce or overmatch, either of those. Then we go to the portion between the turret and the hull, which is the turret ring, and it's actually visible from here, and it's just 16 millimeters. Granted, it's a small target, but it's very thin. So AAA tanks and maybe even strong machine guns like the American M2 Browning machine gun from short distance can eventually penetrate it. You know, it's a lot of bullets fired here, and armor piercing shots might go through. But the real fun part of this tank is the turret. Now, it's stated as 102 millimeters, but it's not true everywhere. Because we have flat parts that are indeed 102 millimeters thick, and they are flat, and then we have some sloping going on, especially below the gun, and we can look at angles up to 45 degrees, resulting in nearly 140 millimeters. At this battle rating, you will mostly face Panzer IVs, T-34s, 85s, maybe Tigers when you get up tiered, and Panthers. And you might bounce a lot of shots that go into the direction of in the direction of your turret, and not just because of this angling and effective thickness, but also when we have a look at here, overlap. So the gun mantle itself is rather flat, with the exception of some sloping going on here on the side and also on top and below, resulting in roughly about between 100 to 130 millimeters of thickness. But we also have a lot of portions of the gun mantle overlapping with the frame of the gun mantle, so to say, and then you have just, you know, the raw thickness over 200 millimeters. Does this count as spaced armor? I don't know. You will not face many heat shell firing tanks, to be honest, and against APHE or solid shots or APCR or APDS, the raw thickness is the very important part. So this tank can bounce a lot of shells. Let's look at the turret top. It's also very thin, 25.4 millimeters, but again 73 degrees of angling, so most are either ricochets or bounces, maybe overmatch, but it hasn't happened to me yet. Also, we see that we have this vision port and this vision port, which are really which are weak spots and can eventually be penetrated if you hit them here low. But also we have a commander's hatch, which is a much easier target to hit. And when you penetrate here with APHE shells, it's thick enough that the fuse goes off and you have a lot of fragmentation in the turret. Now about the turret anymore, we also have to take a quick look at the gun. We're having 12 degrees of gun depression. That's amazing. That's the third highest value for gun depression in the game so far, after the Dicke Max and also the upcoming Sture Emil, which will have 15 degrees, and the Dicke Max does have 15 degrees, and also after the Churchill Mark 7, if I remember right, it has 13 degrees. So 12 degrees, I think, is so far the highest, the third highest value for gun depression. And when you look at this, you automatically see that you will have to do ridgeline working. That means you set yourself a hill and just stick your turret out. And also, when you look from here, which is roughly the 12 degrees of gun depression, you see that the turret front is nearly not hittable, and also the commander's cupola is not such an easy target anymore. And you also increase certain angles on the gun mantle. Yeah, but let's have a look at the side of the tank. Yeah, we look at the side of the turret with 63 millimeters of armor thickness. There is actually no sloping, it's rather flat. This might give you security from AAA and machine gun fire, but not more, to be honest. And this here is 5 millimeters, but it's not the actual hitbox of the rear turret, it's just a place where the radio equipment is placed in. The actual turret back is 57 millimeters thick. Then let's have a look at the side of the tank, which is a big, flat, 29 millimeters thick steel plate without any angling or sloping or whatever. But it's not that thick. It's not that thin, because behind that we have additional 14 millimeters. So we have effectively 43 millimeters of thickness. That again, this might hold off some AAA fire, but no more. This portion here is just 14 millimeters thick from the beginning of the tank to the rear end. It's so thin that, you know, heavy machine gun fire from, again, American M2 Browning machine guns might get through. Funnily enough, this box here, which contains, you know, tools, has 4 millimeters of additional armor, and under a slight angle, the place below the turret, so also the crew, might be safe from machine gun fire. So those 4 millimeters actually have a use, and they might, you know, even save you from light AAA fire. Again, we have, you know, structural steel in terms of the wheels, and also the tracks, which actually also have additional armor. The rear end, nothing special, as I said. The turret back is 57 millimeters thick. Also the rear is angled at 32 degrees here and 32 millimeters thick, 40 millimeters of effective armor, and there is also an additional armor plate, 25 millimeters thick. 25 plus 32 is 57 millimeters, like the back of the turret. So the armor is, the hull is practically bad, but the turret is strong, and you have a lot of gun depression. Well, let's talk about the gun and also the ammunition you can fire. Well, we have 4 solid shots, which are roughly the same. Yeah, and 1 high explosive shell. So the stock shell is not too bad, but nothing very special. No high explosive filling. Simple AP shell. Then we have the high explosive shell. Again, nothing really useful maybe against AAA trucks, but even then, your machine gun might be of more use. Then we have the first researchable shot Mark IV, which is the APC, armor piercing capped shell. It features a slightly higher penetration and also works a little bit better against sloped armor, followed up by the shot Mark VIII, which is an APCBC shell, again without high explosive filling, sadly. Yeah, and it features the highest penetration value of all normal solid shots and also works rather good against sloped armor. But the real magic is the Shot SV Mark I, which is an APDS shell. If you have watched my ammunition guides, you will see that this is my second favorite shell type in the game, and you should research it on the Comet 1 ASAP. Yeah, 205 millimeters of penetration is really good. It also keeps a lot of its penetration over distance. At 1 kilometer, you still can penetrate 170 millimeters of steel, and yeah, you do not bounce that often with this kind of ammunition. So, about the gun, it is a 77 millimeter OQF. I don't know what the O stands for, maybe ordnance, and the QF stands for quick firing Mark II cannon. And you have 57 shots, which is not too bad. Now in my crew, we are looking at 6.4 seconds of reload, which is really good, especially in conjunction with the APDS shot. Yeah, let's have a quick look at the crew. What range of rate of fire we actually can look at. No, it's the tank loader. Weapon reloading, it's not fully upgraded, sadly. Now, the base is 7.6 seconds or 7.7. I have 6.4 seconds, and with a maximum crew with gold, or you played a lot, so you get access to the S or the Ace crew, you get down to a reload rate of 5.9 seconds, which is really fast. And this rate of fire is that you can put 1, maybe 2 shots into an enemy tank before he can replace its gunner when you take out the gunner with the first shot. You can put 1 or 2 extra shots then before the enemy does have the chance to fire back. So what about the mobility of this tank? Well, in arcade we have 1144 horsepower for 33.5 tons. This is round about 30 to 35 horsepower per tons. So you have a very good acceleration, and your top speed is with 57 kilometers an hour. Really nice. It's not the highest speed, but it's really nice, and you actually see this top speed. Yeah, the one thing that really is a big hindrance for this tank is the reverse gear. Like for most British tanks, the reverse gear is the one thing that is a bad thing about them. And also, when we have a look at the tech tree, this tank actually is a transition tank. It is the very first British tank in terms of battle rating that gets the APDS shell, which is a signature for the higher tier British tanks. And yeah, is one of the last ones that does have a really bad reverse gear. After this, the Challenger is slightly better, and when I talk about bad reverse gear, I'm talking about Panther style, so 3, 4, 5 kilometers backwards is not good. The Carnarvon, the Centurion, and also the Tortoise will have a really good reverse gears later on. And all tanks before that really struggled with it. So about the tactics, the main idea is to get into a hull down position and just let your rapid firing gun and your trollish armor style turret work for you. Between the shots you should get into cover again, maybe if you receive fire from too many tanks, you should consider changing positions. Like for all tanks, try to get an unfair advantage, towards your or above your enemy. So flanking and then being held down, and just always choosing a position that you can shoot one enemy at a time. So just one enemy also can potentially shoot back to you. Now, this is a really capable tank in terms of gun depression and speed and maneuverability, and also the quick uh, firing gun, that you can take out a lot of enemies. And yeah, also you are mostly on the flank of the enemy, or you should be, and this is where the real problem comes in. The reverse gear just not just prevents you from getting out the line of fire of the enemy, but also when you're in a position where you're held down and using your gun depression and your turret armor, you just have mostly one way to go, and that's either forwards, where you expose the rest of your tank, or very very slowly. So when you get attacked by planes, you have a really hard time to get out there a lot. So I was destroyed very often when I had a very good position and a bomber or a fighter bomber attacked me. Maybe I show some scenes in the replay. Yeah, now let's talk about the modules. Like for every tank, I highly recommend the parts getting used first. For the gun breech, the gun, and also the turret, ring, engine, whatever. You might receive one unlucky shot that cripples your maneuverability. You need this. After that, you have to research all the ammunition first, so the shot mark 4. After that, you have the choice between the fire prevention system and the shot mark 8. Which one you take is up to you. I would go for fire prevention, then shot mark 8, and after that, you unlock the tier 3 upgrades and go for this ASAP. After that, you need the adjustment of fire, and then you can either choose between the horizontal drive and the elevation mechanism if you think your gun is accurate enough. But I also would highly recommend you thinking about the engine upgrade, and you always should go for the engine before you go for the filters and transmission, because for your research points you get the most horsepower for your research points, so to say. The engine makes a good difference. Then you also should think about your tracks, because you need the traverse speed so that you can turn around with your tank and flee from when you get attacked or overrun. You need the traverse speed. Yeah, and also the brake system is not a bad idea, because you're relatively fast and you need to brake and take the shot and then accelerate again. And also the suspension in conjunction with the brake, they help you firing more safely in more situations, like you're running towards a certain position you want to get in, and you have the chance to take a shot at a dangerous opponent, maybe from the side. You have to brake, and also when you're firing on the move, the suspension helps you to have a higher chance of hitting, but I would not count on it. Yeah, so I think that's enough theory crafting. One final look at the X-ray reveals that we have 5 crew members, and this tank is made out of ammunition. And when you shoot like on the lower part of the tank and you penetrate, you actually have a damn hard time not hitting any ammunition. Yeah, also with like the trauma packs, which will come in patch 1.59, the survivability and battle performance of this tank will be a bit better, when you get shot, because often the gunner and also the commander get taken out, or maybe even the loader as well. Then you have 2 crew members left, and then you lose your good rate of fire, which is an advantage of your tank. And then you can put 1 crew member back into action to keep up the rate of fire. You will have a slight drop compared to the maximum rate of fire, because your commander is down, but overall it will be good. At the moment, sadly, we don't have access to the trauma pack, which will be a researchable upgrade, I guess. But yeah, we will see. Keep that in mind. So, I think that's enough theory crafting. Now, finally, let's go into some gameplay. So, there are now three gameplay, or two parts from two gameplays and one good game which I show basically in its entirety. This first match is the domination in Volokholamsk and shows the toughness of the turret and also the high rate of fire. Yeah, one shot into the Churchill takes him out. Also a shot into the Max takes out the gunner. Yeah, this Hellcat as well. Nice shot, hit the ammo right next to the gun. Again I try my luck with the Digamax, but failed to hit him for the second time. Yeah, you see how good this gun depression works out. And also how bad the reverse gear is in this hull down position. Yeah. Non-damaging shot. This is the second shot at the Panzer 470. First bounce. I couldn't penetrate his frontal armor, surprisingly. As you can see, I'm exclusively using a PDS. Another shot. Yeah, the commander got injured a little bit. Yeah, I tried to get my gun onto him. Tiny shot, but critical hit. And so far it's looking relatively good, because the enemies are in one direction. Yeah, good hit on the Hellcat, and then he blows up. Yeah. Best tactic, poor shooting. Again, I aim another bounce. Then I shoot at the Churchill, another bounce. You see, this turret is not that bad, you see? Yeah, but you know, everything has to come to an end, and as you can see, this was a shot. I think it was from the side. I retreat to repair and to try my best, but shortly afterward a bomb was dropped on me and I died. So this is Conquest on Rockwhite Fortress, and this replay shows a little bit about the mobility of the tank. And we have just one capture point, and I have nothing to do on the front line, you know, it's just, I would just die. As I said, my hull is rather weak. I try to make the most out of my tank. So I go into the citadel itself, I guess. You know, the highest point of the castle, and try my luck from there. Again, I think I was the first here, and I try my luck to get side shots into into A, basically. One quick shot into the bot, sets him on fire, let him burn. Another shot into the Su-152, and another one, and he burns, and he turns around, and the third shot's the charm. So, and I advance. See a Panzer IV, quick shot into him, hit the gun mantle, bad shot. Next shot is already in the breach, fire at the back of another Panzer IV, and yeah, then I think I have to make a cut here because here nothing happened spectacular. And so I think from here on it's just a bit showing how this tank maneuvers around. This part of the gameplay is not the most exciting, but it shows you a little bit of the mobility and also how terrible the reverse gear is again, and how bad the machine gun or my aiming is. Either of both, must be the machine gun. And I just let it run for a bit. What you have to keep in mind, this is more or less a bit muddy terrain, so a lot of other tanks struggle to really accelerate here quite well. The main idea here is to run around and to just flank the enemy. How it will work out, we will see later. But I think the speed is quite good. Now from this point on you have to have a little bit of patience when you're in this kind of situation, because some people get overconfident, and you know, people like this Churchill driver, they don't like it getting shot in the ass, so they quite frankly try to shoot back. And even the gun of the Churchill might be a problem for your tank. Yeah, here I don't know what to do. I'm in a very good position, but I am in the spot where the enemy tanks come up from their spawn point, so it's not the safest place to be. Again, there is this Churchill, he bounces, and I shoot back, aim for the next shot. I have all the time. And yeah, as I said, planes are not that nice to fight. So then I picked the Comet. You know, nothing. I just said, what about if you spawn, you know, in the middle of the battle? And again, this is a bit of showcase how fast you can get back into the action. And here you can have a good look at how fast this tank motors this up this slope, you know, which a lot of other tanks struggle because it's very muddy there. But this tank doesn't to be affected that much. Here I decide to play a little bit more aggressive. I take my chances, try to go below the gun of this enemy Panzer IV, and boop beat up, there is an IS-1 and a brake. And here you can see the importance of the brakes. I missed the first shot, going to cover again. My hull is paper. I try some reverse angling. I do not recommend it, but when I saw that he fired, I had all the time take the shot, and this is why you take out the ammunition of the back of the turret of the IS-1. One shot. So this is also part of the mobility. As you can see, I can climb this hill relatively fast, try to corner it, and this is where it gets a bit awkward. I'm very slow, and here it seems that either the mobility of the tank has a sudden drop, or there is something I'm driving over. But I free myself as well and just go on. A quick look at the minimap reveals me an enemy tank on the left side. I have a look at it, and before he can turn the turret, one shot. Nice. So again, I'm near the breach where I was previously. I have a look, but I really have no big interest of fighting a standoff. But I have the feeling it's now end game. There are not a lot of tanks left. I tried to get my gun onto this Panzer IV. Yeah, I turn around, reverse gear is not good, and also showing you sight is not a good idea. There is again. Now I have a good shot at him, one shot. There was just one crew member, there were just two crew members left. I shoot at this Panther and one shot him through the back. Yeah, I blew up the engine, it seems like. Nice kill, which was my 7th. Yeah, and this is where I see that it's now end game. quick look at the statistics tells me that. Yeah, and from here on the match is basically won. We whittled down the enemy tanks. So now it's the third battle on Mostock, and I took this battle because it was quite interesting. It showed the practically all together, you know, the mobility, the rate of fire, the gun depression, the turret armor, and the protection, and also the basic tactic of fast flanking and disturbing the enemy in their advance. Now here I make a here I make a quick cut. English fails me. And I'm now in position on the hill where I am very often, which I like. I choose this position because I can choose which tank I can attack. I'm protected from the right side from enemy tanks, and yeah, you can be in the best position, but when you're not good at shooting, like me, you can waste a lot of ammunition. Then there I see the KV-1. I prioritize him over, you know, any other tank. Currently, there I hit finally the engine. Next shot goes through the crew compartment, setting it on fire as well. And then the final shot takes out the remaining crew members. Nice kill. Then the M6A1 from the side. Not a bad target, but I didn't read enough. Next target is Jumbo Sherman. Bounce off the side of the front because it's heavily angled. Next shot goes through the crew compartment and sets him on fire. And the next shot again, I tried to aim a bit better, but the shot hit the front plate anyways. Yeah, and so I'm just working the enemy tanks over. You know, I'm in a good position. I can choose who to attack and who not. I hear a plane from behind. Experience told me that I should be counting on them attacking me. It was a bit of a risky move because I showed the back of my tank towards the enemies, and I used this chance, you know, of being of driving and reposition myself. I see the sticky mugs, and yeah, I am hitting him, but no damage. This is kind of this is the second location, but it is yeah, much more dangerous. You're much more exposed, and also you can't retreat that much. Good hit on the M18. I see that Nashorn on the side, but I tried to kill that Hellcat, and then even the best turret armor can fail you, and this is the strike from a long 88. Yes, so strong turret or not, you have to respect the long 88. Doesn't matter in which tank you are. Yeah, and I use this to get into cover and to start a bomber. And yeah, this is where I actually fail. I drop one of the big bombs. Usually I get Lancasters, and their first 3 bombs are small, and then there are the big ones. So the first 3 are bad, and then the remaining bombs are better. I got fighter cover, which is nice, and in the Wellington it's the other way around with the bombs. The first 2 are 1,000 pound bombers. I dropped my first on the Panzer 3J, see that there is a T-34 and another tank, drop my remaining bombs on them, leave the plane, and yeah, and again I try to continue my way of harassing the enemy. I see this Hetzer, and yeah, he tries to get into a flanking position himself. Good aim and very good hit. Take out the driver. The remaining shot again bounce on the turret, and the next shot takes out the remaining crew members. So then there is an Su-85, and at this moment it occurs to me, do I actually spawn camp, because my line of fire is directly to their spawn. And yeah, so at this point I'm thinking about if I'm in the right position, but this is the, if you can, like, another bounce, if you can, you know, disturb the enemy and stop their advance, even just if they wait for you to come out to take a shot at you, you are stopping them, and you're you know, helping your team, because they don't get into the combat zone. And this was AAA fire, and I was like, nope. It was probably an Ostwind or something like that, and I don't take chances against AAA tanks in this tank. Yeah, and there I'm looking for targets, the Su-152, then switch to the Su-85, missed them, and I see red traces. This is an American plane. I see it's an attacker, I hear the bomb, and I decide to get out. Yeah, and I know there are 250 kilogram bombs, so I will survive it. Nice. And, you know, because I'm a bit bold here, I try to get back into the very same position. One shot the Su-152. The Su-152, see that Panzer IV. Try my luck. See that his turret is away, and despite having no direct aim, I know he's there. Maybe it was a fence in the way, took the shot anyways and killed him. I see that Nashorn, and I also see a dot on the radar, and this was, yeah, I was taking my chances, and you know, there are old tankers and there are bold tankers, but there are no old bold tankers, and this was kind of to be expected. Overkill. Yeah, again the long 88. So after that nothing special happens. Let's have a look at the post-battle result screen, and you can see the result for yourself. Good amount of silver lines, good amount of research points, and yeah, I had no XP boosters, just a premium account. I actually like the Comet. The only downside of it is that it has a reverse gear that fails you. Yeah, and then I was second in place. There was one guy which had 11 kills, and he was in Russian T-34s. What a surprise. Okay, that's it with the Comet. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Tell me what you think about this tank, and that's it. See you next time.